So really excited with the pre-conference and kind of what we went through. 9 matches against really quality opponents, kind of being able to test ourselves in one, different environments, and then two, against some different styles of teams. And so seeing teams that play with pace, see teams that exploit things on the left side, and then also teams on the right side. So really good stuff for us when we're going back and watching film and finding out the areas that we need to get better at in the gym, and then being able to start practicing on that. I was just talking with Brittany upstairs. This will be our kind of first week where we're back into normal practice schedule, where we've got a couple days of practice up back to back to back to be able to work on a couple of the things that we're seeing in film, and then head into the Big Ten season. So we're about a third of the way through the season, which is kind of crazy to think about. And now we've got 20 more matches in conference against, looking at it, some of the top teams in the country. I mean, the Big Ten Conference kind of establishes that with volleyball and kind of the following that it has. So we're super excited to start it off this week.
Gary, excuse me. Gary, along those lines, like you said, the non-conference schedule was really challenging. But what makes the Big Ten different, and presumably, I don't want to put words in your mouth, maybe a little more challenging? What is it about the league that maybe just takes it up a notch?
Yeah, the biggest thing to me is the depth of talent across the conference. When you look at the top 1 to 14 teams across the entire conference, just the quality of volleyball that's being played across those rosters. This year, when you're looking at hitting percentages for teams, you're seeing some of the top hitting percentages in the countries coming out of our conference, some of the top defenses come out of this conference, the passionate fan bases that we have from top to bottom. I mean, that's kind of the cool part about playing in the Big Ten is every environment you go to is a packed house, whether that's on the road at Indiana or at Rutgers or Purdue or Minnesota. You're always playing in front of a crowd that really believes in the sport and what this is about. So I think that's one of the things why kids are attracted to, one, play in this conference and then want to compete in this conference.
Gary, Kelly was in here last week talking about kind of hunter versus hunted, and you guys are very much the hunted, and yet it seems like you want to continue the mentality of being the hunter. Do you think that mentality kind of permeates throughout the whole program, from coaches on down to players?
Yeah, I think when you go back and kind of watch each match as you play them out, you're trying to find out what our team's trying to exploit on you. And knowing, all right, they're going after you in this realm or this possibility of a scenario. And we've got to be on that attack edge as well. I think our team plays best when we're acting as if we're the aggressor, of a team that's wanting to hunt out what is our opponent trying to do and how can we exploit their strengths and their weaknesses. So for us, we want to keep hunting our best. How can we hunt for what is in front of us rather than just the opponent that's in front of us? So what are our standards? What are the stats that we're trying to get to? Where are we trying to exploit what's capable of the athletes that we have in our program and our team? And so I love that mentality of being on the edge, be always the one that's going after it. The environments we've been in have been fantastic. I mean, Florida sets a record of attendance. Arkansas sets a record of attendance. At Milwaukee with Marquette, a record of attendance. And so you're putting yourself on the biggest stages in our sport and saying, all right, where do I have to keep getting better? Where can I get to the next level with who I am as an athlete or as a team? So I totally agree about us being on that attacking edge.
Kelly had mentioned some good practices from Sage leading up to the Marquette match that got her onto the court. I mean, what stood out for you in those practices for her?
Yeah, so for Sage specifically, one of the things she did was put together a couple practices of really good serve and pass. And that's one of the things we truly value with our program is our serve pass game and how do you handle the first contact. Because it just sets so many things up for your offense and your defense. And leading into that week, she had a really good set of practices to kind of see, all right, how does she handle the environment? Us throwing her out in front of a record crowd in Milwaukee and being a hometown Wisconsin kid, I thought she did great. I thought she showed that she's ready for that moment. And this weekend with Florida, we had Sage come in for a little bit, and then Gigi came in, and Joss came in at the end. And I thought all three of them, when their moments were called, they were ready for the action. And so for people that are waiting on kind of the bench or the sideline, when your number's called, are you ready to exploit that? Gigi came in, passed like a 2.25, which is pretty good across the standards that we go by. And then Joss in the fifth set comes in with a really great serve, gets a service ace for 1 point, and then another good serve on the second ball she had in the fifth set in front of 10,000 people. So really proud of how she handled that moment as well.
What were your thoughts on Anna yesterday? I think each set that you guys won, she had the final point. What can you say about just the way that she played on that big stage?
Yeah, she had a rough first set, and then kind of came along as the match wore on. I think across sets 2 through 5, she hit 400. One of the skills that Anna has is to be able to hit the ball at multiple contact points, whether that's kind of in the middle of the net on quicks in front of the setter or higher balls back behind. I think early on in her career, being able to manipulate those two tempos can be really difficult for a former middle. And I thought she did a really good job as the match wore on of finding the spaces that were open for her. I think early in her career, she didn't use off speed in the way that she can to how she did against Florida. She had a couple errors on things where she was trying to be really perfect with the swing when really good is good enough. And so being able to kind of continue to stretch that really good over a long period of time. But what she can provide offensively with her ability to hit at multiple parts, and then also defensively as a shutdown blocker on the right side, I thought she did a really good job against their left side attackers, and so did Devin throughout that match.
Big picture question, I guess. Now that the non-conference season is done and you're going into conference play, I guess I'm wondering what aspects of this team maybe have you are you maybe really excited about in terms of the growth you've seen, or just areas that maybe you've seen, the biggest steps made? Where do you pinpoint?
Yeah, there's probably more than one, which is kind of the fun part for us, is there is so much growth available to this team in front of it. One, I mean, if I go through context, service from the service line, we've got to continue to be a better serving team. And how do we continue to put pressure on teams to get them out of system, create the opportunities with the physical side that our block can be? Continue to stress that, being able to get teams out of system. I think defensively, we've got a enormous room for growth. And that's why going into this week of practice, we're really excited to be able to string practice on practices back to back to back so we can work on training elements and then kind of see how they play out each day through film and then another practice on the back end. And I was looking at the numbers beforehand. I think offensively we're doing a pretty good job. But if we look at our defensive numbers, I think that's an area that we've got a lot of growth in front of us. Usually the teams at the end of the year, their delta between their hitting percentage and their opponent hitting percentages, whatever teams have the biggest gaps in those two numbers are usually the teams that they're playing the final weekend of most seasons. So we feel like we're doing pretty good offensively, and we got a lot of room growth of there. But I think if we continue to get better with our block and our defense and transition game and lower hitting percentages for our opponents, there's a lot of room for us there.
Gary, when you guys won the national title 2 seasons ago, my understanding was that Kelly basically said, "Great, now how can we be better? Like, what can we do to get better?" I'm curious about your perspective as, you work for the guy. Is that kind of, I don't know, was that surprising to hear? Was it just kind of who Kelly is? What steps have you taken to make that happen?
Yeah, I think each year you look at where you evaluate everything in your program. You evaluate how you do training, how you do techniques, how you do tactics. You look at nutrition, you look at sleep, you look at the things around the team. And I think every year is a different group of kids. And so, one, you're trying to provide a moment for a new group of kids that have never been through it together. And I think that's one of the challenges of coaching is how do you find those pieces to the puzzle that this specific group needs? And so when we kind of finish that season, it's all right, we're going to have a completely different group of kids. And so the expectation is no longer we're the defending champion, because that's not that group's thing. That was the last group's thing. And so what does this group need? And whether you've got more freshmen or a couple transfers, how do you get them into the program and assimilate to the culture? That becomes the big part of it. And so for us as a staff, every year we're going to go reevaluate the things that we thought we did well, the things we thought we have improvement areas. Did things resonate with these athletes or this group? And I think that's what we've been kind of using some of this non-conference for is, all right, what does this group need? What is their message that they want to put out as a group of who they are, what they're about, what the collective motto of this group can be? And so when you're coming out of that type of season, it's that same thing as, all right, what's this group going to need? And finding those routes for improvement for ourselves and our athletes, I think, is a big deal.
You mentioned Gulje earlier. She checked in the third set yesterday and seemed to really settle you guys down in the serve and pass game. I mean, what was she doing well that, she was able to kind of settle the team and, give you guys some momentum, I guess, going forward? Yeah,
I thought Gigi came in with a presence, which is one of the things you look for is when someone's subbed into the match, are they right there connecting with their teammates and looking to be the, kind of what we were talking about a little bit earlier, be the aggressor. And for her as a person whose primary job is that first contact, can I be engaged with the passers next to me to know, hey, I got this seam. I got you here. You take a big swing. I'll cover you there. And I thought Gigi did a great job of steadying out that back row. Sarah had a great passing match as well, and I think Oz is getting better in that position that she's learning a little bit more about. But I thought Gigi came in with the presence she needed in front of 10,000 people to play really well. I asked Britt before I came down. I said she got tagged, I think, in the 5th set with a ball kind of a little bit higher on her, right around her nose. But her mentality right after that point was serve the ball to me. I want it. And I think actually the ball was in the seam, and I think Sarah passed it, but we set Anna and sided out right away. But just that, I'm good, let's go. And kind of that mentality is really, really special for her and anyone who comes in as kind of a sub in a match.
You, Brittany, and Kelly have been together for a long time. It doesn't always work out that way in terms of coaching partnerships. And I guess I'm wondering, why do you think it works? What is it about the dynamic that's kind of kept you three together?
Yeah, we're going on 10 years here, I believe, and then another 2 before that. And that includes Britt, Kelly, myself, Anne-Marie, Jess. We've been together multiple years across the board. I think when you find people that you want to be around and surround yourself with people that are passionate about what you do and what they do, people that will challenge you to find ways to continue to improve as a person and as a coach, I think those are things you hold to. And I think when Britt and I and Kelly get into discussions, it's about growth. It's about how can we help this group in the most positive way possible. I'm a big believer in who you become is the people you surround yourself with. And people that really have high standards for what they believe in and who they can be and the virtues and the values you believe in are really, really important. And I think when you find that people, you want to hold on to them as long as possible because you see success and you see the opportunities in front of you. You see the passion, you see the positivity, even under challenging times. I've loved being with this group of people for these years, and I can't wait for more to come in the future.
Gary, as if it's not hard enough to win on the road against a top 5 team, that 5th set included the weird point off the net, off the scoreboard. That was the 5th set too,
yeah,
right?
That was.
And then
Yep.
then the replay too. Does that tell you a little bit more about this team that none of those things shook it?
We've played 3 5-setters this year, and all of them have been 15-13 in the 5th. And I know you listen to Izzy in her post game talk about, hey, we're down 0-2, let's light the world on fire. Like that type of mentality is like, hey, put our backs up against the wall, we're going to come out swinging. So I think that mantra is part of what this program is, and we have to create those scenarios in practice to want to embrace that. I mean, there will be times where we're doing a serving drill and we'll blow a whistle on them, have to reset and start over, or hey, we'll make a bad call in practice and just, all right, how do you handle that moment? How do you get locked into that next point without overanalyzing something? The first one with that net trickle where it was Anna and MJ right up there, and MJ dives for it and it kind of just falls on top of her. Just, all right, hey, let it go. Let it go. We've got a job to do on this next rally. Let's get right into that. Gigi gets a great dig. It hits the scoreboard. In Milwaukee, maybe it doesn't hit the scoreboard. In the field house, it's probably down faster than it went up. And so can you just, hey, let it go and get into the next point? And I think that's a quality of a championship behavior that you look for, that stick-to-itiveness, that bounceability back from when negative things happen, that you're ready into that next moment. And I think there's going to be those moments in the future. You can't eliminate all of them. And can you embrace being in the present moment? Can you let the things go and just be here and kind of in your mindfulness training of just stay in the moment of where you are, be present where your feet are, be there with your teammates, and go ahead and grind.
I think it might have raised some eyebrows in the preseason when Kelly alluded to Sarah playing at an even higher level this year than she did last year. But what do you envision her ceiling, and how close is she to reaching that?
Oh, she's still got so much in front of her. I think the biggest growth that I've seen in the last 12 months has been her ball control. And I truly believe the work that she put in the spring to develop that was a big part of who she's becoming. Her being comfortable, being able to pass 6 rotations and know a lot of balls are going to come at that area where there's 2 of our outsides standing next to each other, and her comfort being able to pass inside out in those scenarios. I see that growth exponential, and there's still more in front of her. she's always been an offensive option. And now what we're doing is working to develop more tools for her tool belt to be able to score in more scenarios. If the block is doing this, hey, I've got this shot that can score. She's being able to manipulate the ball in better areas of kind of be able to hit some off speed in front of defenders, and that become a strength of hers. I think her blocking and her defense, she would say that's a next thing on her tier of I want to be elite at that. And she's spent an extra day every day this past week of getting more training on that. And so she's got the mindset of wanting to improve. She's putting in the work to improve. And then she's showing it in the practice gym and in games that as you develop those confidence in practice, it shows out in matches. There's so much still in front of her, and I'm really excited for her. I think she's got the mindset that she's wanting more in front of her. So I'm super excited to see what the next 10 weeks of Big Ten and then whatever the NCAA tournament brings on for her in this future.